And welcome to Foul Players Radio. Michael Spedden here. And tonight, our guest is British actress Charlotte Kirk. On August 9th, her new movie, Duchess, co-starring Colm Meaney, Philip Winchester, and Sean Pertwee, and directed by Neil Marshall, opens. And we had a great talk about the production of the movie, her days coming up in theater, her movie, The Reckoning, which won lots of awards at film festivals, and some projects that are in the pipeline. Her website is www.charlottekirk.com. I had a great time talking to her, and I think you'll enjoy this episode too. Remember, we can be found at www.foulplayersradio.com and on youtube.com/@foulplayersradio. Hit that like and subscribe button and leave a fair review. We'll be right back with Charlotte Kirk.
Hi, this is Randy Jackson from Zebra, and you're listening to Foul Players Radio.
The Fowl Players of Perryville, the Mid-Atlantic's premier murder mystery company, have upcoming shows on the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad, Fifth Company Brewing, Susky River Beverage Company, Madigan's Waterfront, Maryland Party Boat, and more. If you are interested in seeing a show, our website is www.foulplayersofperryville.com, and if you are interested in booking us, please reach out to us at foulplayersperryville@yahoo.com or 443-600-0446. Remember, every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. and Sunday at 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the replay is The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. We feature blasts from the past, songs you forgot you liked, hidden gems, classics that never die, local and national act interviews, and music from up-and-coming and beloved classic bands. Go to www.97underground.com and download the free app today and listen to us wherever you go, anytime, anywhere. Also, see our archive of interviews on YouTube at 97 Underground Michael Spedden. We thank you for watching and listening to Foul Players Radio. Our main website is www.foulplayersradio.com, and our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@foulplayersradio. Remember, please support our guests in their endeavors. Shop small and buy local. Links to their books, albums, tickets to their shows, and much, much more can be found in the show notes of each episode. Enjoy today's show. And welcome back to Foul Players Radio. Michael Spedden here, and our guest today is Charlotte Kirk. Charlotte has got some big news for us today. Her movie, which is Duchess, is going to be coming out on August 9th. A big release, and she's got Philip Winchester, who we know from Law and Order SVU, Sean Pertwee in it, we know from Gotham, whose dressing room was next to mine, but I never got a chance to work with him. But anyhow, so that's enough about me. Charlotte, welcome to the show. Nice to have you today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Michael. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to.
So tell me about your new movie, directed by Neil Marshall, and it looks like you've worked with him a good bit over the years, huh?
Yeah, so basically me and Neil had done two movies before Duchess. We had done The Reckoning, which is a drama horror, and then The Lair, which is an action sci-fi, very, very different genre to Duchess. And then we were sitting there one day and we were like, what do we want to do next? Okay, we've done horror, we've done sci-fi action, and then we started talking about great gangster movies, you know, the all-time favorites, Scarface, Goodfellas, The Departed. We should do a gangster movie. Let's do a gangster movie. Wait, let's do a gangster movie with a woman Don, with a woman boss. I haven't seen that before. And that's kind of how Duchess was conceived. We wrote it back in 2018, and then we shot it in 2022. So it was a few years in the making.
Oh yeah, always is.
Always is. And it's definitely one of the roles that I'm most excited about, because it's a real, you will know and appreciate being an actor, it's a real character piece. From the trailer you can tell she's just, it's not your run-of-the-mill action gangster movie. It's a lot of things out there today are very vanilla, and we wanted this film in particular to be as outrageous, and as out there as possible in every aspect. And I think it is, and that's what kind of makes it fun. And I think you can see that from the trailer, and when you watch the film, it's a fun revenge film, but it also has layers to it as well. It's not just, as I said, like an action revenge film. It's about betrayal and love and power. And I think a lot of great films need to have those layers for it to have substance, for the audience to care. So this is one of the films that I really am most excited about.
Well, congratulations. So, where was it filmed?
So we shot it in the Canary Islands, one of the Canary Islands in Tenerife. It was meant to be originally shot in Africa because it's about diamonds,
Right.
but we had to relocate. So it was beautiful. We got great locations. Neil likes, he wanted this to be very picturesque, which I think we got. Great beaches and great houses, like just beautifully shot. So yeah, we shot it in the Canary Islands, and then 2 days in London because it's meant to be split.
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff I shot in the Canary Islands that was meant to be in London, but you can never tell.
Right. Yeah, I mean, unless they really show like a lot of outdoor scenery, you really don't have an idea as to where it could be, especially with modern technology today. So this sounds great. And as we had mentioned before, a couple of your co-stars, I had a couple of degrees of separation from them. What was it like working with Philip Winchester and Sean Pertwee?
So it's my first time working with Philip Winchester. He is awesome. He's such a generous actor to work with. We had a lot of tough scenes to shoot together, romantic and tragic and everything in between, and just a great, generous actor to work with. And then Sean Pertwee, I'd worked with him before on The Reckoning. He was the antagonist baddie on The Reckoning. So it was really cool to work with him again, because he was like part of my crew. So he's super cool, very different role that I've ever seen Sean Pertwee play before. Very, very different. So yeah, he's great. So good. So diverse. They can just play from one very different character to the other. So yeah, we got very, very lucky in terms of actors on this. We got Philip Winchester, Sean Pertwee, Colm Meaney, incredible, Stephanie Beecham, just incredible actors all around.
It sounds like a great cast. It really does, and I can't wait to see it. Now you've got me all interested in everything, and I want to definitely watch it when it's out. And so August 9th is going to be the day. I think it says Saban Films here, correct?
Saban Films. Yeah.
Saban. Okay.
So in the US on the 9th, it's released all the usual suspects: Amazon, Apple TV, iTunes, etc. And then it's being released into cinemas here in London, Europe. So it'd be nice to see it on screen. I was going to say, if you were in LA, we're doing a premiere on the 6th of August that I'm very, very excited about. It's always, if you happen to be in LA, you're more than invited.
Okay. Where's that going to be? Is it going to be at a theater or a venue?
Yes, cinema in Beverly Hills. Charles has got all the information.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, great. That's good to hear. That's got to be exciting, huh? I guess you're going to have a lot of people there, and
yeah, it's just great to see it with an audience. I love to see, the reactions, and hoping any reaction's great, really, unless it's boo. We don't want that. But yeah, some laughs and cries and anything in between.
I guess that's really got to be nerve-wracking, just because sometimes, and again, I've been in that boat too, where you work on something, you really think you have something that works, and then you get it out, and the true test is when you get it in front of people, and you're just like, God. Oh boy, or hey, all right, it worked. You
just never know. You never know, and audiences, it can be very fickle. You just never know. But the response we've got from the trailer so far, obviously the trailer's very different, but it's been really good. So I'm hoping, and I truly believe the film is so much better than the trailer. So fingers crossed.
Well, great. And but I guess, and that's just another thing that people don't realize, everything that really has to go into putting a movie together. I mean, there's a lot of people that do it where there's just like five people involved or something, but I mean, this one,
Yeah.
I was just looking, you've got so much production staff and just to make it all come together. I mean, that's really got to be satisfying for you, just to really finally see it's done.
Incredible. Like that's what it's nice producing as well, seeing something from the very, very beginning, a germ of an idea to a script to producing, filming, and then seeing it out there. That's
Hmm.
really satisfying. Yeah, a long process, but worth it.
It is. It really is. It really is. Well, again, congratulations. So, I was looking through your website and through your bio, and yeah, you've done a number of interesting things. It seems like you've been started out as a theater kid, right? When you were, a young girl. I saw mentioned a couple of Charles Dickens plays. I think I saw Oliver Twist and Christmas Carol on the West End in London. Is that correct?
No, so I did listen a lot of drama in drama school when I was here in London in Italia Conti.
Hmm.
And then when I left here pretty young, so when I left drama school at 19, someone said to me, Charlotte, if you want to be an actress, go to the States.
Hmm.
So I actually moved to the States when I was 19 and then did some more theatre in LA, in Lee Strasberg's Academy in LA and Susan Batson in New York. So
Hmm.
always constantly trying to keep in the acting classes and working on the craft. So yeah, it was amazing working with I love stage. Very, very, very different, but I feel like if you can do stage, you can definitely do film.
Sure. It's they're different animals in some ways, but
Yeah,
there are a lot of things. I mean, you're not, when you're doing a film, your camera's right here a lot of times. You're not performing for the person in the back of the balcony.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And having done both, not at your level quite, but I get it. I get it.
No, then it's so different. Exactly.
It is. And the thing is that a lot of people just don't realize everything that goes into this. We have a lot of folks that listen to the show here that are, not only fans of entertainment, but we have a lot of stage moms that have their kids listen because I've been affiliated with some children's theaters I performed in. And I bring folks like you on, not only to promote, but to also maybe give some of these folks some lessons and some advice and to hear, to have them hear people like you talk about your experiences. And I mean, to get into character, and especially when you're doing method and, Lee Strasberg, that's no joke right there. I mean, that was probably intense.
Very intense, but I mean, every actor has, as you know, a very different process. Every project is slightly different, but I do like method. It doesn't mean I stay in character the whole time, but I believe that if you haven't lived certain experiences like love and hate and all these emotions, how are you meant to play that? How are you meant to connect to that?
Hmm.
So a big part of it is connecting my life experiences to my character. Then
Hmm.
if I can't, then I use my imagination. But um, yeah, but I've tried a lot of techniques and classes along the way, but that's kind of the thing that works for me the most.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a lot more than just, getting in there and just reciting your lines back and everything, which and I started out really my background before I got into acting was in playing in bands. I was always a band guy.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
there are times when you see people in movies, they bring a rock star in to play a certain part, or sometimes it may happen on Broadway. And a number of people that I have spoken to over the years that have made that transition from music into theater or film, they're like, wow,
Yeah,
you can't get by on just your star power or your popularity alone. You got to deliver the goods too. And
100%. Yeah, that is true. But also for you, like if you can sing and if you come from that, it's again, it's all connected, right? Like writing,
mhm,
producing, acting, I feel like it's all one big craft. If you
it
the more
is.
you can do, better.
Mhm. It really
I feel like
is.
you need
How about I'd also seen that you were in Hairspray in theater. Tell me about that experience. And I was this something you did when you were like a kid, or was it something you did when you were a little bit older?
No, when I was a kid. Yeah, very, very young. I can't even remember how old I was. Wow. That, and then Christmas Carol, and then our, Arturo Ui. And that was improv, which is really great. And I find that really fun. If you can improv on stage, I like that. That's always fun. It's always great to play one of the classics, isn't it? If you could doing that on stage. I went to a theatre school in LA as well, and we used to put up scenes every Thursday, and it was like always from just great classics, you know, the Casablanca or Gone with the Wind. It's just one or two scenes, but it's just so much fun. You don't want to copy what you've seen. You want to bring your own something to it, but it's always so much fun.
It is. It really is. And yeah. So do you remember? So you said you were young when you were in Hairspray. Were you ensemble, or did you have a specific role?
You know what? I can't bloody remember who I played. It was so long ago. I was like I must have been like around 12. I can't remember. I remember singing though to the songs are very prominent. I remember singing. But I can't remember. It was no, I can't remember. I hate
Been a
to guess.
while then. That's okay.
Been a
That's
while.
okay. Yeah, been a little bit, huh? Well, yeah, that's well, that's I was just asking about that because being from Baltimore, Hairspray is it was very big around here, and a lot of people, especially on the side of the town that I came from, really lived that time. That was the time my parents were in high school and they watched the well, not the Corny Collins show, it was the Buddy Dean show. And there was the civil rights issues that were happening at the time that were all part of that movie. And I was just really curious about what your experience was with that. And the first movie that came out that was not the musical, I think is a little more popular here. But then the musical as well that came out on Broadway, and then I guess the West End in England. So what's it like performing there on the West End? I'm familiar with Broadway here in the States, but I don't know the West End very well, but I've heard a lot about it. What's it like performing there?
I've never performed in the West End, but I've obviously seen lots of shows. It's very similar to Broadway, neck and neck. Both incredible energy and like the best shows, Hamilton and The Lion King, and I like dramas as well, where it's not just musicals as well.
Right.
One of my favorites is Woman in Black. Capturing that horror essence in a theater is pretty difficult, and I think it's terrifying. So yeah, it's very, very similar. I would say they're both the same level of brilliance and energy and talent. It's just very, very same. Neck and neck. It's hard to choose which one's the best.
Right. It looks like you do some modeling as well. I was looking on your website. I see you've done, looks like a couple of magazine covers or something, Harper's Bazaar.
Yeah. I mean, I've done those in the last couple of years. I wouldn't say modeling. I dipped into it when I was very young before I went to the US. The Harper's Bazaar and Glamour and a couple of others I've done recently were great. I think it's kind of very similar to, it's similar to acting, right? It's in front of you're kind of playing a role and you're in front of the camera. So that's fun. But I definitely prefer acting.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, and that's another different animal too, from, another just another form of entertainment, another form of that. Okay, yeah. I was looking at a couple of your your awards that you've won over the years with the films that you've been in. And it looks, the film The Reckoning that we had kind of mentioned earlier, it looks like that movie really cleaned up at these festivals. I mean,
Yeah, and that movie will always have a place in my heart. It was my first movie that I wrote, produced, and starred in. So that was quite something. I was very, very green. It was my first ever big project like that.
mhm.
It's tackling a big topic matter as well. England 1665 during the plague, a woman being falsely accused of being a witch. So that's a tough movie to watch. It's a horror, but it's definitely a lot of drama.
Mhm.
Uh, Drama slash horror. I was like, "Oh, I want to make a female Braveheart." No, no pressure. Let's see if we can go there. And then after that, yeah. So no, sorry, I jumped from one thing to the other. So yeah, I was very, very proud of that movie. Very,
Mhm.
very proud of that.
Well, I can see a lot of people agreed with you by giving you all these awards. That's just great. That you again, as we were talking about before, when you premiere something, because a lot of these festivals are really done, before it really goes out as a formal release. You're doing these at these festivals and really getting a taste for it. And I can see, wow, you must have been, like Michael Jackson walking around with all of his Grammys, with all these awards that you won.
I
I
know the
can't-
first one was like, wow, this is so incredible. And then as the second one, I was like, what? It was just like becoming more and more, I guess, like, wow, is this real? Pinch me. This is incredible. No, it's just really satisfying. People enjoy, something that you created, and people are enjoying it. Like, that's just so rewarding. That's the goal, really.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yep. It looks like you won some the Richard Harris International Film Festival for The Lair as well. You got something best actor in a female role.
Yeah, and it's not I wouldn't call it an artsy movie either. It's pretty, it's quite, it's an action sci-fi movie, but that was definitely my first very action heavy role.
Uh-huh.
So, first time I had to never fired a gun before. I had to learn how to fire an AK-47. The Reckoning, I had to learn to ride a horse and sword fight. There's always these new challenges. Duchess, I had to learn to box. That was really fun.
Oh yeah.
And just finished filming with Dolph Lundgren. I was like, oh God, what's going to be next? And that was like a full-on action movie, which was so, so fun. Working with, these action legends, Michael J. Wyatt and Dolph Lundgren. That was really, really cool.
Oh yeah, Dolph
Um,
Lundgren.
yeah,
He's been in a lot of that's pretty much his field right there. And the shape you have to be in to be able to do these stunts and to be able to do the fighting. Um,
yeah.
that's a whole world in itself there. What was the preparation like for that? I mean, you mentioned you had learned how to box, and I guess you're working with a coach to get that down first before you really choreograph it for the film. What would tell me about this a little?
Well, every project's different. So I think all of my roles, yeah, have been very action heavy. The Lair, I would say, the most, and lucky enough that I've always worked with great stunt teams. So if you have a great, stunties who can help choreograph it. Duchess was hard. One of the toughest days was me in the boxing ring, and literally it was me. It's like patting my head. When you pat your head and rub your belly at the same time. I
Sure.
boxing move, all these boxing moves, and learn and say this ton of dialogue at the same time. So that was very new to me and very tough. But I was like, chatting to Philip Winchester, who's asking me all these questions, and I'm like, uppercut, left, right hook, left hook. That was quite difficult.
Mhm.
Very, very different to the Lair. That was just a lot of firing guns and rolls and kicks, all that fun stuff. And then then the Reckoning, firing, riding a horse. I was like, I'm never going to do that. And then I did it and absolutely loved it.
Mm.
But it's always important to have, a good stunt team, a good stunt team that can make sure everything's safe and secure, and all the important stuff.
Mhm. They really know their stuff. I worked with a stunt man on Gotham actually, and all I did was fall down. It wasn't like I was diving off of a building and I was in
Yeah.
flames or anything like that. You know, it was just I got shot and I fell to the floor, but they had me practically in bubble wrap. I mean, just everything. You know, I had knee pads, elbow pads, I had earplugs in just for a gun that sounded like a cap gun going off. I mean, they added the higher sound again, in post production. But I mean, you would
So,
have thought I was jumping off of the Empire State Building or something like that with the way they had me all bundled up. And I guess it's probably, I mean, you don't want any tragedies, of course.
no, the film I just finished, called The Possession of Gladstone Manor, the guns we had in that were literally they were fake. They were not real working guns, but
Yeah.
between every take we did, the armorer would come and show everyone, all the crew, and say, "Look, empty." And I'm like, it's not even a real gun, but still, it's like that absolute. Just got to be so careful because there have been some terrible tragedies recently. So
There
you know,
really has been. And again, the part in Gotham I had a gun that never would have fired anything, but they still went through the safety procedures with it. And a couple of plays I've been in, I've had guns, but there was absolutely no way in hell anything because the thing was welded together. I mean, it looked
uh,
good from the audience, but the thing, that it was really just a piece of metal. It really wasn't a gun at all. Even the barrel was filled in and welded up. So, but I think a lot of it too comes down to discipline backstage. If something is not your prop, there's no reason for you to be touching it at all under any circumstances.
yeah, 100%. And people playing around with props,
Mm-hmm.
dangerous. It's just we've seen it. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
the tragedy. Just not necessary. It's not necessary. You don't need to do it. And in a way, there should be like a rule, like you
Oh yeah.
can't touch props, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in theatre when it's so contained and you've got audiences there. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I
Thank
mean, and that, there was one time, I won't mention the production. I was in a show and somebody backstage was fooling around with somebody else's props and they weren't on the table when it came time for them to walk out, and we were able to get through it and it wasn't that significant to the scene, but still, that is just, you don't touch what's not yours. And having been on the producer side of it as well, I understand that fully.
yeah. And that's why you got to run a tight ship, and
Mm-hmm.
trusting your crew and your team, and especially when you're doing action movies and
Mm-hmm.
anything. Like sets are really dangerous places. It's like a construction site.
Yeah.
It's anything can fall down, and no, it's some of the places I've shot as well, like shooting in quarries. When we shot The Lair, we shot in a quarry, and there's thunder and lightning, and it's really dangerous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like camera, electricity everywhere in a quarry with thunder and lightning. You can't put safety before anything. You can't. Safety's got to be above everything.
Oh,
It's
absolutely. Even too with lighting, how hot they get, how heavy they are being suspended above people, um,
yes,
motor vehicles. I mean,
yeah,
that's a whole world right there. And you
yeah,
definitely have to take that seriously because you just don't want to have, I mean, there have been sadly tragedies over the
yeah,
years that have occurred on film sets. And it's definitely something that everybody, needs to take seriously, no matter your budget. That's got to be the priority.
yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've learned. Like, it doesn't matter if you're on an indie movie or a studio movie. Everything's the same. Like, it doesn't matter who the actor is or what it is, who the director is. Everyone's there to do a job, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone wants to do the best possible. And that's what it boils down to: safety, good people, good project, and just all working towards the same goal. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Number
100%.
one.
100%. So let's backtrack a little bit here. You had mentioned, we had talked a little bit about, your, being a child, working in the Dickens shows and Hairspray. When did you get this bug? When did the bug bite you?
There wasn't a particular moment. It kind of was a gradual thing. I'd always struggled during school. I'm on the spectrum. So school was very difficult for me, and I have dyslexia. So maths and English was
Hmm.
always very difficult. And then when I first stepped into my first drama class in school, I was like, wow, what is this? This is something that I
Oh,
enjoy, natural, and comes easy to me. And I just knew then, I just couldn't wait for each drama class. And then when I finished school, I said to my parents, I need to go to drama school, which I did. And yeah, but it was a gradual thing. I guess first stepping into my drama class for the first time, I was like, yeah, this is amazing. And loving movies as well. Growing up, loving movies. Yeah. I can't actually remember wanting to do anything else really.
right, right. Was there did your parents take you to see plays or things like that when you were a child? Was that something
Yeah.
that inspired you too?
Oh yeah. I remember going to see Wicked on stage with my mum. That was absolutely insane. Like, oh, just going up to the West End and that experiencing the theatre, the energy, the and the audience's reaction, and enjoying the show, and the actors that were just so phenomenal. And it was just an undescribable feeling of being in the cinema live with actors. It's just wow, the energy is insane. There's no other feeling really. And
Mhm.
just being the audience, I don't even have to be in it. Just I love going to the West End and Broadway, just watching the shows. That was definitely very impactful for me. And I used to go to the cinema as well. I used to go to like Saturday morning cinemas as much as I could, and um, cinemas just watch as much as I possibly could. Really
Mhm.
absorbing it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there anybody that you would consider people that you really looked up to, or people that you are your favorites?
I've always had a few. There's an actor here it was a famous sitcom here in the UK called Only Fools and Horses. It's a full on comedy,
Hmm.
and the name David Jason. I grew up on that. British, very dry, funny, hilariously. David Jason is just brilliant.
Hmm.
And then I grew up on the classics as well. Gone with the Wind, Vivian Leigh, Marlon Brando. I mean, still my favorite actor today. I just think he changed acting. When everyone was very over the top, blah, 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 theatrical, he just came in and was like, okay, yeah, just that's it. Less is
Hmm.
more. He just
Right.
came in and just changed everything.
Hmm.
So on the waterfront, The Godfather, like it was his that Streetcar Named Desire. Vivian Lee's incredible, but then you see Marlon Brando, and he just steals the show by doing not much at all.
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
so yeah, lots of people along the way, but I think the classics, the old classics.
Hmm.
But then I love today. I love Susan Sarandon and Al Pacino, and there's just so many phenomenal actors, good, great character actors. Just yeah, so many
Quite a few of those are also actors theater folks too.
actors. Sorry, say that again.
They're from the actors theater, you know, um,
Yes,
yeah,
Pacino,
Brando,
Mel.
Pacino.
Yes, yes, yeah. He was all for Method, wasn't he?
Yep. Hmm.
Daniel Day, Pacino. A lot of them come from New York as well, didn't they?
Yes.
De Niro. They all come from the Bronx or somewhere around there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. They all, studied under Lee Strauss or Uta Hagen, one of them up, years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they all did Shakespeare in the Park as well, right?
Uh-huh,
Mel's good.
sure.
Yeah. Dustin Hoffman. It's
Hmm.
incredible.
Yeah. Had you done Shakespeare before?
In school, I did.
Yeah.
In school, a little bit. Wow, that's just. I would love to go back. And actually, no, I did a little bit in Lee Strasberg as well. I'd love to go back and study that. But I couldn't imagine doing Shakespeare on live on stage. Oof. Have you done that?
Yes, a couple of times.
Wow.
Yeah,
What's
it's
that like?
tough. Well, you definitely have your work
Like,
cut out for you. And I did it down in Washington, D.C. There was a theater down there, and these was a group of folks that were just out of college. They all went to Ithaca University, which is a great theater program. It's in New York State. And I met the director. He was only about 20 years old. I met him when I was doing a Agatha Christie show in community theater. And he invited me down to do Othello. I was the Duke of Venice. And then we did it was Twelfth Night. And then I was the sailor, the sea captain. Just and again, these were not big parts, but they were enough, to give me some work.
wow.
And then I had another one. It wasn't Shakespeare, but it was from that era. It was the play was called "'Tis Pity She's a Whore," and
Okay.
the character I played was Donato. And this was pretty much if you wouldn't have known it was written back in the 1600s or 1500s, you would have thought it was a Quentin Tarantino movie with all the blood and gore and fights and everything.
On
Yeah,
stage.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, I mean, we did it the best we could with the budget we had, but yeah, it was definitely part of the story.
But it's like I couldn't imagine like Shakespeare's almost like learning another language, isn't it?
It really is. You're right about that. It really is. And yeah, and that was part of the thing that messed me up, or that gave I shouldn't say messed me up, but gave me difficulty was I know what I'm wanted to say to the character that I'm in the dialogue
Yeah.
with, but the way they worded the sentences and everything was just not the way we talk. And that was the thing. That was the thing that kind of gave me a block when I was trying to communicate with the other person, and say, instead of "'Tis Illyria," I was like, "That's Illyria. That's where I'm from. "'Tis Illyria. I was born not, so far away from here,
I could,
and
wow.
yeah, but
I I mean, because it's like I feel like if you don't know the word, you almost have to, well, you memorize it, I guess. It's like muscle memory.
it
And
is.
then to just remember what that word means.
Mhm.
What you're
Right. Well, I know some people that have done it, and actually I'm guilty of this too, because the way we did it, it was like repertoire theater too. I mean, this was a very, very intense summer. I think we had maybe 4 or 5 weeks where we did both "'Tis Pity" and "Twelfth Night." So on a Friday, we would start at like 6 o'clock. We would do "'Tis Pity," clear out, and do "Twelfth Night." And the next day we would do both shows, and then Sunday we would do both shows. Okay. Okay.
that's like what stage?
Yeah.
2 hours. Wow.
Easily. Yeah. Yeah. And so we did that, and that was about a 6 or 8 week run. I mean, this was just amazing. And the thing was that, sometimes, you get tied up on something, you just say gibberish.
Yeah.
you know,
Humble, but I hope they didn't understand that you kind of screwed it up. And you're like, Alfie,
exactly right. Yeah.
yeah. Oof. No, I'd like to try it one day, but it's yeah. I feel like you have to know the language first, the Shakespearean language first, then it will just be a lot easier then.
And you really do. And one thing that I found that I thought was really interesting that somebody who really knows Shakespeare told me was that actually, English people in that era sounded actually a lot more like me than they do sound like you.
Really?
Yeah. The accent was actually more close to East Baltimore than it was the English accent that we know now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing how it changed?
Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Wow.
but the one thing that they were saying that they look for during auditions is that if somebody comes in speaking with a British accent, they're like, look, people didn't talk like that back then. It was a completely different accent, a different way of going about it. It was just a different speech pattern altogether. And I thought that was interesting. So I didn't feel so self-conscious, because that's one thing that's always kind of even my manager said to me, she says, look, if you're going to do voiceovers and stuff, you can't talk like that anymore. And if you've ever heard the original movie of Hairspray, you'll know what I'm talking about, so
The original. And then you've got like, also it's very rhythmic, isn't it? Like
yes, it
about the
is.
rhythm,
Yes.
pitch, and lots of other elements to it as well.
Yeah, there was like they call it iambic pentameter when you're doing it. And what it is like, and especially I think the people that are like the upper people, the higher class people, speak in that rhythm. Their lines are supposed to go like that. The commoners don't. The commoners just kind of say their lines as they come out. But with the higher up people, the people that are like more powerful or more important, they speak in that pentameter, that rhythm. And that's something else to keep in mind too. So, doing Shakespeare is a whole different animal, but I recommend that you try it sometime. I think you'll enjoy it, and it'll really, how you open up a new skill set.
Yeah, well, I've just started learning Spanish, so
Oh, okay.
it's definitely opened up my. I feel like I can learn my lines a lot easier now, because it's kind of, it's so good for your mind learning another language, and I've learned that it's like a workout for your mind. So tough, but I'm kind of getting by.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
buckle up, step by step.
now, have you traveled much around Europe?
I have, yes. I always want to go places. Yeah, Italy, France, Spain. I haven't gone to Greece. I've been to quite a few places.
Now,
Many places.
can you speak any of those languages?
No, right now only Spanish.
Okay. I was just curious about that, because I have a lot of bands on the show, and they travel across Europe. And I was just curious as to how you travel. I mean, you've got I guess a lot of people in those countries learn English, I guess, huh?
Oh yeah. Everyone kind of speaks English, and it's always tough when you're filming, a film in another country, because you don't understand the crew. That's always a bit tricky. So it's very refreshing to come back doing 2 films in the US back to back. It was so nice to work with an American crew and understand what they're saying, and that banter and getting to know each other, as opposed to just standing there like, yeah, I have no idea what anyone's saying right now. Oh, action. Okay, great.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah, I love shooting in the US and England.
Great. Well, I know that you're on a time restraint today here, but I do appreciate you coming and joining us today to tell us about your new movie, to talk a bit about your career. And, so what I'd like to do in the last couple of minutes we have here is just give you an opportunity to plug or promote anything that you'd like to plug. I know you've got a great website, your movie coming out, or anything else you'd like to mention.
Okay, great. Well, I think, the main one is Duchess. I think you won't regret watching it. It's just a hell of a lot of fun, but hopefully it will evoke all these other emotions. It takes you kind of on a roller coaster journey. So that's the 9th of August. So excited about that one. And then I've got 3 other movies coming out, which is the Possession of Gladstone Manor horror movie with Lynn Shay and Barbara Crampton, Jesse Metcalfe, and Fight or Flight with Dolph Lundgren and Michael J. White, which I'm very excited about. And then another film that I did after Duchess called Compulsion. I did another film with Neil Marshall that we co-wrote. He directed and I acted in. And that's a very, very different movie to Duchess. So yes, but right now the main one is Duchess, and I hope everyone enjoys it as much as we all did making it.
Well, great. And your website is charlottekirk.com. And I also was looking on your IMDb page, and it looks like you've got a couple of other things in the queue that are going to be coming out too. Some things that you're getting ready to work on as well as are going to be released. So, well,
Yes.
congratulations. Hey, it's always great to be busy in this business.
Always good. That's what it's. I don't know what I would do, and that's the thing. Like, if I'm always kind of creating. So I think if I'm not creating, then I'd be quite depressed.
Yeah.
Always doing something.
Right.
That's actors in general, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm always finding things to do myself here. So, folks, thanks again to Charlotte Kirk for joining us this afternoon and telling us about her new movie and spending some time with us. And remember, you can find her website, charlottekirk.com. I'll put it in the show notes so you can find that. And we're definitely looking forward to Duchess coming out on August 9th. So, folks, again, thanks for listening today, and we will see you all next time on Fowl Players Radio. Folks, thanks again for tuning in today to our interview with Charlotte Kirk. I had a great time speaking with her, and we're all looking forward to her new movie, Duchess, coming out on August the 9th. The LA premiere will be on August the 6th, too, by the way. This movie, again, co-stars Colm Meaney, Philip Winchester, and Sean Pertwee, and it's directed by Neil Marshall. And again, it's going to be a great movie. I've seen the trailer, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed, so it's well worth looking into. Her website is www.charlottekirk.com, and it is in the show notes of this episode. Remember, foulplayersradio.com for all of our episodes. We also have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@foulplayersradio. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button and leave a fair review. Also, don't forget to support all of our guests, whether they be a band, an author, an actress, an actor, whatever we got out there. Make sure you support their stuff. Go to their websites, buy their books, buy their CDs, buy tickets to their shows, and support them, folks. It's all about small business. It's all about supporting the arts. We'll see you all next time. Michael Spedden signing off.